All right, welcome everyone. My name is Megan, and I'm so glad that you're here tonight for our virtual paint class. Our inspiration tonight is our spraying ladybug, which is really a simplistic, kind of eclectic design that can be anything you want it to be. I liked it because of its simplicity, and it has a little bit of like visual balance from the left to the right, and it's a bit of spring for us. So I'll go over the supplies quickly, and then we can jump in and get started. So what I have for supplies tonight is I'm painting on an 11 by 14 canvas, acrylic paper. You could paint on a canvas board, a canvas panel, anything you're comfortable with, but I'm painting on paper tonight. I am using acrylic paints. And if you ever wanted to use like any kind of like ink pens or gel pens or any other secondary mediums to really like enhance your work, you can always do that after. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of fine detail on this one, so you could have fun with using some secondary mediums if you wanted to for tonight. So I have an array of brushes with my acrylic paint. I'm going to be using greens and reds and yellows and blacks and whites for tonight's class. I did drop the inspiration in the chat window. Let me just check my speakers here, my microphone. Sharon, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. You can't hear me. All right. Sharon, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. Nope. Okay. So just give me 1 minute. Sharon, if you want to unmute, we can test this. We're just going to test my audio for 1 moment. So 1 second. All right. I do see my volume, my audio going, Sharon. So I'm not sure. We'll give her a minute to see if we can get this working for her. All right, so she's having a hard time hearing me. Give me just 1 moment, folks. Sorry, thanks for your patience. Can you hear me, Sharon?
I can, I'm back. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm like, it looks like mine's working, but I always wanted to make sure you're set up and good to go. So we're good. Okay, perfect. So I'm using acrylic paint. The colors that I'm using are red, green, and yellow. I don't have any blues in tonight's, which is kind of fun to not use a blue, I guess. But tonight I want you to choose your colors. So if you love purple and you want to use purple as like instead of a yellow flower, you could do that easily. Then you can do your own designs throughout tonight's class. So really choose what colors you want. Choose maybe just 3 colors to use for tonight. So I'm using red, yellow, and green as my like core colors per se. And then I'll use black and white as some accent detail. But you choose 3 colors of your choice. That might keep us a little structured, right, as artists tonight. I do have a pencil for a little bit of sketching. If you want to do sketching, you can. I'm only going to sketch the ladybug, my ladybug in the middle, just so I can get how high I want her to be. And then I'll paint everything else, basically. Typically, you don't do a lot of detail up front, but if you wanted to get like a basic structure in place to help with placement and composition, you can. So in addition to my paints and my brushes and my pencil, I have a cup of water to rinse my brushes, and I have a plate or something to mix my colors on. So I'm not going to mix too many colors tonight, but I am going to put my paints here. You can use a paper plate, a dinner plate. You could use, I'm using palette paper, which is a really kind of a fun pad that is kind of like wax paper. So I can kind of peel it off and throw it away when I'm done, which is really nice. So if anybody has any questions about that, let me know. but we're gonna go ahead and jump in. I'm so excited to do this one tonight. We haven't really done anything kind of folk art like, so it's gonna be really fun. So I'm gonna first start by I'm gonna put the ladybug body first, and then I'll do my head on top. And I'm gonna center the ladybug body in the middle of the canvas, not directly like from the top to the bottom to the left to the right, but maybe if I find the direct middle, I kind of just come down a little bit. So the ladybug body, you can just use your eye, use your pencil, and you want to center it. And I'm just doing a rounded body. Finding a pencil that works is helpful. And I have no idea. I'm just kind of going for it. It's kind of like a teardrop shape. Whenever you're using a pencil, you don't want to push down that hard because it might leave lines or marks. So I'm going to be painting this and filling this in. I can also do like a light erase. You want it to be a little more narrow near her neck. Kind of looks like a seed a little bit. It's a little wider here, right? A little rounded on the bottom. And we're going to use paint to kind of get this in, so I'm not too worried about it. But I'm really just getting my placements down here so I can put her head on top. I'm just doing a round circle for a head. And her head is just going to connect to the top of her body. So you can figure out how big or how small. And this does not have to be like precise by any means. This is just all for fun. And if you wanted to kind of draw in a little bit of a neck, you could. And mine is not perfect. I'm not striving for perfection. This is just a fun little painting for us tonight. Okay. And I'm not even going to paint the legs because I know the legs are going to go down there. So for me, I'm just doing a little bit of placement in that regard. And then I'm probably going to freehand some of the flowers and the designs on the side. But for me, I wanted to kind of get this ladybug in place to have a little bit of structure. Now, if you have any extra lines like me, you can just come in and erase those. So I just did a body and I did a head. And it's going to be cartoonish, right? Let's be honest. About 2/3 down from the top, if you wanted to kind of create like little wings, kind of like a little bit of a V opening, you could, like where her wings would be. If it's easier to do this now, you can. And these can even like overlap the bottom a little bit. So there's a little bit of overlap here. So you can bring the body down a little bit more. And you can decide how much, so in between here is going to be all black. So you can really close this in, like this piece of the pie here. You can play with that. So I'm kind of closing in this piece of the pie. Maybe these lines erase. So I'm making a smaller black wedge in the middle, and her body is going to be all red. And that's what we're going to start painting tonight. See how these wings overlap the body down here? This body here is going to be black. Her body is going to be black, but her wings will be red. So fun. It's starting to look like a bug. You can decide if you want to make her wider, right? Maybe if you want her to be a little wider, you can bend these lines out. So some of us have practice drawing and some of us don't. So take as much or as little time as you need here, maybe to make your ladybug a little wider. Maybe she's already too wide. Maybe you need to make her a little more narrow. Those are the choices you can make as an artist. There we go. And I love to make changes like that, so you can kind of see how easy it is to make changes on your own too. Just not being afraid of it. Cool. All right. So we're gonna just jump right in because hey, why not? We're gonna go ahead and start with our red and we're gonna paint our ladybug wings with red paint. Sharon, it's so great to see you. I hope you're doing well. You probably got a ton of snow today, like we did.
We did. We have about a foot of snow.
Yep, we do too. My husband worked in the office today and he just came home and he's like, I need to plow the driveway. I'm like, yes, you do. So my son is hanging out nearby, so I'll check on him in a little bit, but all
How
good.
are you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good.
Yeah, I am. I'm not in the hospital, so I'll have to catch you up.
That's a good thing.
Yes, they I had a positive appointment on Monday and they said that I didn't need to be admitted.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so for anybody that's listening and doesn't know, I'm 32 weeks pregnant and I have I was diagnosed with something and my diagnosis changed as of Monday as I showed up to the hospital with my luggage, prepared to move in for 4 weeks.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the diagnosis changed, improved within the past 4 weeks.
That's amazing.
Yes. So there's a 15% chance that it improved, and it did. And I'm now home. And they said that I can have a natural birth and like all of this now compared to a planned C-section at 36 weeks. So it's been a roller coaster, Sharon. And
I bet.
good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's everything's good. So I'm
That's
home and not in the
great.
hospital teaching. So for all of our April classes, I should be home, which is great.
That's such good news.
I know for sure.
You must be relieved.
Yeah, I haven't really known how to manage my emotions really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and your hormones are all over the place because you're pregnant anyway,
I
so it's
know.
bad. Yeah,
Totally. So, but overall it's very positive. So
good.
it's a very good thing for our family because I have a 4.5-year-old son, which some of
Right.
you know about. So my husband and the help is just like praise be. All right.
Yeah,
So we are
your poor son would have been like really rough on him
very
too.
difficult. Yeah, he doesn't know how things are more normal now than they would be if I wasn't here.
Right.
Yeah. But how cute is this ladybug? Mine is just evolving so quickly. And I love this so much. We haven't painted a ladybug before.
No, such a fun idea.
I know. And it's like it's such a simple inspiration for tonight. Like it probably will take us an hour and a half, if that. I don't know. We're just gonna kind of take our time and we'll just do our thing. But I'm doing one coat of my lady friend here and I'm gonna let her dry. And then I'll probably do a second coat on top, even though this is fairly good coverage. Um, and with all of our classes, I talked about for tonight's class, pick 3 main colors, right? So let me get my 3 colors maybe ready and on my plate. I'm doing I'm doing green, yellow, and red. So if I wanted to get these colors out, I can kind of do some planning. Now I have green paint tonight. If anybody doesn't have any green, you could use yellow and blue mixed together. So if you wanted to kind of get your colors on your plate and prep them, you could.
Are you using the dark, like the phthalo green?
I'm using like a grass green tonight.
Okay.
And I have a yellow, but I'll probably be adding a little bit of white to my yellow to soften it so it's not too bold in your face, yellow. And I'll probably be adding a little bit of white to my green as well. So I'll probably put some white on my plate. And I'm just doing this while the red is drying. Because what we're going to be doing, I'm going to put a little white near my green and a little bit of white near my yellow so I can soften that as needed. You're not going to need a ton of paint for tonight, which is also really nice. So once you have those 3 colors kind of picked out and you can mix them as you go, we're going to add a little bit of design detail here and there, which is going to be really fun aspect of tonight's class. So I'm just going to be really fun and like creative at this point, but I'm going to say, well, where else do I want to add red? And there's a little bit of design elements in each of the corners that are for red. So while my red is drying, I'm just going to grab a smaller brush. And I'm going to come up with like a kind of a corner design. And I'm just going to kind of go for it. Maybe a 1, 2, 3. And it can be anything, like that's just like a simple little starburst. And I'm just going to put a little bit of a fun red design in these corners. Maybe I'll make this a little longer. You kind of want them on the same like lineage up here. If you wanted to add, make it a little longer, you can do it a little bit longer. And have fun with it. My canvas is a little crooked, so it looks a little crooked. There we go. So you kind of, if you wanted to play with a little bit of red design up there, I'm gonna do the same thing down here below. Just gonna do a little bit of fun red design in the corners. So and I'll pep this up and give it a little bit more bedazzle here in a minute. Now I could put a little bit of like a dollop or a little dot on the end. I could put a little bit of a 1, 2 dot. So you can add little bits of designs or dots if you wish. This is all for fun. Use your imagination here. They don't have to be exactly the same. It can be if you want it to be. It's really like how symmetrical it is really up to you. But I'm just doing a couple of fun dots. Maybe a little bit like a rounded bud on some of these. If you wanted to add any like secondary colors to this, you could. I'm just keeping it simple for right now. So since I have the red in my hand, I'm just having fun with it. Dot. This is like a little rounded ball on the end. Dot, dot. I love doing dots for some reason. It's very like Scandinavian for me. And this is, if you wanted to use like a really tiny brush and make it look like absolutely perfect, you could. I'm not like striving for like perfection here. I'm just kind of having fun tonight. If you wanted to use your red and do a second coat of red on your ladybug, you could do that as well. You just want to do nice smooth brush strokes. For any of our type A personalities out there, you can be as symmetrically even and precise as you wish, or you could just have fun, not worry about it. I mean, visually, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in my corners, and that's really what I was going for tonight. I'll just maybe make sure that my points aren't touching. They can be touching if you want, but they're just kind of all going to float towards the corner, these lines. So I might, refine that a little bit, but not too worried about that. And then I just smudged red in here. I'll put white on top of my little red boo-boo that just happened there, so no big deal. But if you wanted to give your bug a second coat, feel free. Mine's in really good shape. I don't even think I need a full second coat, so I'm just gonna hang tight there and clean up my brush. So I'm not adding red anywhere else right now. I might add like a little bit of like red flower nodes on like near some of my yellow flowers, but I think red is just, it's a nice bright color. Once I put legs on my lady, I might give her red shoes, but I'm not gonna do that yet. We'll do black here in a minute. All right. Yeah. So take your time. In these classes, always go at your own speed. You can be as precise and detailed and slow as you want, or you can buzz along, whatever. We're not doing anything too complicated tonight, so just go at whatever speed works best for you. But tonight's class is being recorded, so if you wanted to slow down to enjoy any of those details, feel free. All right, I'm gonna mute myself just for a minute. Feel free to take another minute or two to play with the red, but we'll transition to black next, so hang tight. Okay, so there's a couple things that we can do with the black paint as our next step. So your red doesn't have to be totally dry. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of white and paint over my boo-boo here. White is a great eraser tool in tonight's class. Probably have to do a couple coats over this to cover it up, but that's all good. But I'm gonna grab a small brush of choice. I just want you to be in control over your brush strokes. Sharon, give me a thumbs up. Are you good with your red?
I think so, yes.
Okay, cool. Pretty basic. We can always come back and like play with your shapes for your corners if you needed to. But we're going to take a little bit of black. I'm using a small brush tonight. This is a number 2. If you ever have brushes for me, I have a gold number on the side. Just a small brush. And we're going to grab a little bit of black paint. And I don't want it to be too goopy. And I want you to come down and draw some legs for our friend here. So what you can do is, if you wanted to kind of draw a line on the underside of this body, you could. And we are going to paint in here as well. So if it's helpful for you to kind of paint within this body, you can. If it's really wet, you don't have to go in here yet. Sometimes I use my pinky to stabilize my hand and I stick my finger and paint. Or the corner of my shirt, you know, all the things. That's right. You can't wear nice things when you paint, Sharon. You have to take off your nice things. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. Also, ladies and gents, I always have an apron on. I do not have one on tonight, so that's probably not a good thing. I'm gonna go grab it actually. So if you have nice shirt on, consider rolling up your sleeves or changing, just in case. Putting on an apron. If you have a kitchen apron, you always flip it inside out. It's a great, cool trick somebody showed me once, is when you paint. If you don't have a painting apron, you can grab a kitchen apron, flip it inside out, and save yourself the misery of getting paint on your pants or your shirt. But I'm always here for some type of entertainment, aren't I, Sharon? Something always comes up in these classes. God help me. Okay.
Why they're so fun.
Oh my God. Okay. We just roll with it. We got splatters. We'll cover them up. Not a big deal. So we're going to, I'm going to use a small brush and I'm just going to kind of fill in on the inside of this ladybug body. I'm using a nice small brush. I'm painting with the tip of the brush. I'm not painting with like the entire brush. So the more you paint, the more you learn how to manipulate your brushes. It's like, I am in control. I am the powerful one, right? It's like, oh, I actually can like feel like I'm going to manage what I'm doing here a little bit. At least that's what we tell ourselves. It doesn't always happen, but it's about slowing down and it's about that brush control, right? I've been reading a book about like landscape painting recently, and a lot of amazing artists are very disciplined with how they use the choice of paint colors, how they use the choice of certain brush strokes, certain tools to really achieve what they're looking for. It takes years of practice, right? For them to figure out what they really want to do and why. And that allows them to kind of, you know, continue and develop their own personal style and craft. Now that's like really complicated stuff. We don't do that here, but we can relate to it by just learning to manage and manipulate our brushes a little bit better, which is helpful. All right, so I'm going to give my lady legs, and it's kind of like a upside down V to start. So I'm just going to do an upside down V to start. You can decide how wide her legs are going to be, like if they're close together or not. So that's the upside down leg. Then you're going to kind of do the top of her thighs are a little wider, and they're going to come down to her ankles. And this is where you can kind of manipulate how like how wide her legs are and how long they are. And they can just come down the corner of her ladybug wings. And I haven't decided yet here. So these legs are pretty straight. The legs in the picture are a little more rounded. Like she has a little bit more of a calf. So I might give her like a little bit more of a calf here. I don't know. Can play with it. We are going to give her some tights. So we'll put some stripes on her as well. And you can just give her some black feet. We'll put shoes on her feet in a minute, but you can give her some feet. And they're just going to come out to the side. And my ankles need a little work, so just make your legs as long as you want. We're going to put shoes on these feet after. If you wanted to do shoes on her feet now, you could, doesn't matter. Painting over black is a little tricky, but we'll be all right. And I'm trying to make her feet delicate, but it's not really working. So if you would like to have smaller, delicate feet, you're welcome to. Mine didn't turn out to be so delicate, but it's okay. Perfect. Might be a boy. I don't know. Could be anything it wants to be, right? All right. The nice thing is if your legs get out of control, just let this dry and you can come in and um, easily kind of reshape the legs if you need to. Now she does have arms. Her arms are going to be off to the left and the right. So you want to come down, and I'm using black paint for this. They're kind of an inch or so from her neck on the left and the right, and they're going to come down the side of her body a little bit and then out. Kind of like a bent elbow, kind of like half of the letter W. So she's holding her arms in the air because she's going to be holding flowers over her eyes. And you kind of want her arms to be as symmetrical as possible. So just do your best here. Mine are not going to be perfect. But her wrists are small, her arms get a little bigger. Just play with this a little bit. You can give her a little bit of an arm on top. We're kind of doing the black arm on the outside of the ladybug shell itself. And she's just gonna have like little hands, like little knuckled hands. You can give her like little rounded, like little ovals for hands because she's gonna be holding on to two flowers. Kind of like she's flexing, like she has muscles. That's what this looks like a little bit. But we're gonna put things in her hands. My arms are pretty small, so I could make them a little bit bigger if I wanted to. And my elbows are like near my body. In the inspiration, her elbows are kind of off of her body. So you can kind of make a choice there if you want her elbows to be off her body or not. But right now it looks like I have a ladybug who's working out and is flexing her muscles at me. That's what this looks like. And then I'm gonna do some black dots. So I'm gonna do a black dot in the middle. You can do as many as you want. I'm gonna do 7. I'm gonna do 1 at the top, and then I'll do 3 on each side. Maybe I'll do more. Maybe I'll do 4 on each side. These are pretty small dots. But you can pick and choose how many spots you want on your ladybug. It could be lucky number 7, it could be 9, it could be 10. I'm just doing 4 on each side and 1 on the top, so it looks like I'm doing 9. And I'm just doing round spots, black, kind of alternating from the left to the right. So really simple design. And again, go at your own speed here. Cute. So we're just kind of doing a little bit of black detail work and then letting it dry. I love the black hair and the black bun on this ladybug. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give her like a cute little black bun on the top of her head because I think it's adorable. And she's going to have like a little bit of a hairline. And it can just come down to her ears. I was thinking like 2 like double buns would be really cute on the top of the head. If you want to have like a ponytail, you could have a ladybug with a ponytail. You can also change the color of her hair too. If you don't want to do black, you don't have to. I like the black. I think it's super cute. So you can make a choice there. If you want to do different color hair, you could do different color hair. Trying to give her a little bit of a funky hair here. And these are all just basic colors, or sorry, basic shapes rather. So we have a ladybug with arms. So she's like flexing. We're going to put flowers in her hands once that's dry. We have black dots on her body. I have like a black bun on the top of her head, which looks great. I'll add like a little red hair tie in her hair, and we'll do skin color after. This ladybug has, and again, feel free to switch brushes if you need to. I'm going to do 2 tiny little black antennas coming out to the left. And this is like a tiny little brush stroke. And out to the right. It kind of bends out to the right, bends out to the left. And I'll put little red dots on the end of those. So that's kind of fun. I love it how this picture right now looks like I have a ladybug who's like flexing her muscles, Sharon. It's so funny. And I'm just going to let some of my black dry. And I'm just going to mix my skin color. I love this darker skin color. I think it's really beautiful. So I'm just going to mix my skin color as well for the face. And I'm mixing like a yellow and a red to make an orange. And to make like a brown skin tone, I might be able to get it with the orange, but you can add a little bit of blue for like more of a brown tone. Actually, I might be able to mix in a little bit of green. This is a little scary, but let me mix in a little bit of green and see what happens. No, I don't think so. Maybe. Yeah, I guess a little bit of green worked. Just a little bit went a long way. So take your time and mix a flesh color for her face. The only flesh color we'll see is on her face, so you don't need too much of it. There, that works. And I'm just gonna do her face. And you want a little bit of a neck to show too. So there's lots of little details that everybody's working on. Pick and choose what you want to do here.
Could you go over how you made that tone again, Megan? Sorry,
Yeah, I
there.
mixed yellow and red to make orange, and I mixed white with it. But then I added like a tiny bit of green, like barely any, and it just darkened it up just a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, like hardly any. I was really experimenting, Sharon, just to see. I don't usually just bring green in like that, but sometimes you just got to go for it. Yeah, it's a nice color skin tone. I wish my skin tone looked like this right now. It's a little too white for my favor right now, Sharon. A little too white. Sharon, have you been on vacation at all recently or like in the past year or two? You've been anywhere
No,
warm?
I haven't really been able to travel.
Yeah, I didn't think you would have. Yeah, I haven't either, really. Yeah,
I'm ready
someday.
for some sun though.
I know. Yeah, I guess, we're just waiting patiently based on where we live. And people in these classes live all over the country. So our Arizona friends are like, whew, we're hot. Like, you know?
Yeah. My son's in Atlanta and he's been calling me. It's 80 today.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
son, thank you, son.
I know. Isn't that ridiculous? Atlanta is like warm. Yeah, it
It
is.
it got down in the 30s though, he said the other night.
Oh
Like
my
so
gosh.
yeah, they had a tornado warning, they had storm, yeah, it was crazy.
They get some crazy weather down there. They really do.
Yeah.
They really do.
It's the second or third time I think that they've been under a tornado warning this spring.
Wow. Has he been
Yeah.
safe? Has he dodged it?
So far, yeah, the one touched down about 8 miles from where they live last month, I think.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Does not do my mama heart very good.
No. I would just no.
He tells me
Nope.
after now.
Yeah.
The first one he called and he's like, I just grabbed Chloe and the cats and we're in the bathtub. I was like, oh my God, don't.
Perfect. Lock the door. Do what you need to do, right?
Yep.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Like, I did not need to know that.
No. Oh my gosh. I just added a little red hair tie to her hair, which looks adorable. And I added little red dots at the end of the black antennae as well. So we're well on our way here of creating a masterpiece, as you all can see. But how cute is this? It's so
Love this
cute.
inspiration. It's adorable.
It's so cute. I know, I can't even handle it. Sometimes it's really fun to paint something that's like so lighthearted. One moment. I have a special guest with me tonight, my son Asher. I'll put my video on him. You guys can say hi to him really quick. He's not always here with me. Look, there he is. Say hi.
Hi.
You want to tell them how old you are?
4.
He's 4. Yeah.
No way.
Don't mind my messy studio.
Where's your paint?
We're painting a ladybug. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, no.
Can you help? Do you want to paint your own?
Yeah.
Okay, you can paint your own.
Yeah,
Here you go.
Thank you.
You can paint on this.
I need paint.
I know.
You
All right,
can
hold on
paint.
1 second, friends. All right, cool. Okay. No problem. All right. So we have painted your ladybug face tone should be painted. We need that to dry to be able to put our fun flowers on her face. And then if you don't forget to paint little antennae for her. And then I put little red dots. So red is one of the colors I'm obviously using for tonight. I'm using green, red, and yellow. You can add a little hair tie-in. I'm gonna let this stuff dry. Before we do any more work on her, we're gonna have fun with some of the sideline detail next. So she can dry entirely because we're gonna add some yellow detail to her. We're gonna add some flowers covering her eyes, which is really cute. And we'll go from there. So if folks need to take more time, you're welcome to do that. But I'm going to grab my, just a brush that has a nice fine point on it. We're going to be adding in some foliage, some very specific foliage for our next step. I think we're going to do the black line first, and we'll add the details on top after. So like the stem, I think we're going to add the stem first for placement, just for a little bit of a sanity sake here. So grab your small brush with a fine point on it. And up here near your red, we're going to do 2 sets of stems. So maybe down here about halfway, make a little dot on where you want the bottom of this stem to end. I made a little dot right here. And I want the top of my stem, my leaves to be up here. So I'm just going to do a curvature line. See that?
What color are you using?
Black. If you don't want to use black, you don't have to. I'm going to do the same dot over here so they're fairly even from a height perspective. Just doing kind of 2 lined stems. And then I'm just going to kind of build out. You can have a little bit of swagger, right? So just on the left and the right, just have a little bit of a bend. We're going to add some green foliage to this, or whatever one of your colors are. So I'm going to do 4 or 5. So there's going to be one on the top that's going to have a leaf on it. 4 or 5, or even 3, it doesn't matter. You can decide on each of these. So see how that's one little short one? Do another little short one up here. And do something similar. So if I have 4, I think I have 4 and 4. So let's just do, this is going to help just give us a little bit of structure. A little bit of consistency. So not perfect, but you can see it's consistent. I want the heights of these to be fairly similar, so I'm just going to bring this one up a little bit. Okay. And do the same thing down here, but these are going to kind of curve down a little bit. They're going to kind of curve under her feet. So I'm going to use my eye and kind of curve it down. See that? I'm going to go on the in. So I'm just kind of creating a little bit of bones here for our flowers. We don't have to do it this way. There's a million ways that we could be doing this. But this is just, sometimes it's good to try doing things differently, because then you figure out which way you really like to do it better. So at the top of these, we're not going to make these any taller. And I have a little bit of gap in between because we're going to put a flower right there. So leave a white gap at the top of these bottom ones. You can make these long or short. The bottom ones are actually a little shorter, but don't mind me. I'm just getting a little happy here. But I'm creating some space for the pretty design foliage that we're going to do in a minute. And I'm just going to let it dry. You can always cover these up if you need to like change the look and the feel of something. It's not a big deal. It's again there to give us structure. You can see I'm the focal point of the composition is my spring ladybug in the middle. And then I have all this pretty area around her that is a focal point. Again, white is your eraser. So if you do something you don't like, let the black dry, let the red dry. You can come in and cover it up. A good example of that is I stuck my finger in red paint, like I usually do, and I have a little bit of red here. So this red is dried, and I put a little bit of white over it, and I can cover it up. Might take a couple coats, but don't worry. I also have small black splatters all over my painting. I don't know why, Sharon, I'm so messy tonight, but I'm just embracing it for what it is here. So in these classes, sometimes we move from one area to the other. We let an area dry and we do something else. So we just let the ladybug dry and we did this black detail. Perfect. Now, once you're comfortable with this black detail, we're going to let that dry before we put our flowers and our foliage on it. We're going to go back inside of our ladybug. So we'll start easy. We'll start with her cute little collar first, which is really quite awesome. One of my 3 colors tonight is yellow. So I am using yellow. I want you to find a color, I'm using yellow, find a color yellow that I like. So I might do I'm mixing a little bit of white with a yellow. Come over to your plate or your palette paper, whatever you're using. Mixing a little bit of white with yellow will also kind of cover up some of this red really well. But you're going to kind of don't stick your finger in the black paint. My black is a little wet still. So if your black is wet still, maybe you stay away from that area. I thought it was all dry. Okay, maybe not. But you're going to do a little bit of a lapel. To the left and a little bit of a collar to the right. It could be a bow. It could just be something pretty and decorative. The top of her shirt. You're going to need 2 coats or 3 even. So just find a shape that you like. It's more narrow towards her neck, right? It can come on top of her shoulder a little bit if you wish. You can kind of play with where it lands.
Mama, are you
So you can figure out if you want there to be like little points in one spot or another. So just do a first coat here with the yellow and just let it dry. So I'm going to stop touching mine. It's the hardest part. Stop touching it. Okay, perfect. So then I'm going to let these yellow lapels dry. And we could easily you could mix an orange. I'm looking for a color to use for the center of the eyes for these daisies in front of her face. So you want to use a color. So I'm using yellow, but you want to make sure there's white in it because white is going to help cover up her skin tone, right? For this center part. So I'm mixing like an orangish yellow, and I can always add on top of this, but try having a little bit more white. And I want you to do the center where you think her eyes are. I want you to do a round dot. Now we're going to be putting petals all around these. So keep these dots, put these round circles where you think her eyes would be. And they're going to be fairly like in the middle of her head. So let me just show you placement. See how they're like, this is kind of further down. Like she kind of looks like a doll a little bit. You want her to have like a pretty big forehead because I'm going to put petals all the way around. This is the size of like a pea from the size of mine. So I'm going to do these circles first. I will make them more yellowy and orange, but this whiter color is going to kind of cover up, like should basically show where her eyes are. So she kind of looks like a doll, which is kind of fun. And just do one single coat for her eyes and just let it dry. Like I'm not going to touch it anymore. And we're going to turn her eyes into flowers with stems, which is going to be so much fun. While these eyes are drying, I might use this light yellow and just do like some fun outlining like on her body, like on the sides right here. We go 1, 2, 3. It's like a couple of rounded designs. Hey, Asher, 1 second, okay? Sorry. And then I'm just gonna do a couple of outlines. Okay, I'll look at it in a minute, okay? And then I'm gonna do a small outline on the left, on the right. 1 minute. So I'm just doing a little bit of like yellow highlighting on the side of her body while these are drying. And if you wanted to go back and do like a second coat on her like lapel while her eyes are drying, you may need a little more time. It may be dry enough. Just take your time. All right. I'm gonna let my lapel dry a little longer. If you feel like your paint is a little sticky, that means you want to let it dry a little longer. But I'm going to do a second coat for these eyes. If you want the eyes to be more orangey or more yellow, you can add that color to a second coat for your eyes because we're going to do, nope, you cannot go outside. It's cold, it's snowy. You can't put a jacket on. I'm going to do a little yellow for the inside of these eyes because daisies have this yellow center. And I'm going to do white petals, teeny tiny white petals. So I'll probably find the tiniest brush I have to do little white petals. So take a minute to work on those eyes. And if you need to let some more dry, feel free to do that. So since we're working on like, I'm doing this yellow color right now, I am going to do for these, the black on the sides for me now are dry. And since I have the yellow in my hand, I can have fun with doing some of these like yellow flowers. Now you can do some like, any type of flower shapes that you want. I'm just going to have some fun around the black. So you can paint your flowers or your shapes. So the black stems are like in the middle of the flower petal if you want. These are kind of just like rounded flower shapes, petals for me. I don't know. I might do some funky designs. I haven't decided yet. I think they're just going to be fairly rounded. But if you want to do like actual flowers, you can do actual flowers. But the trick is we're only going to go down about halfway. I might even add a second color down here. Who knows? But this is where you can really be playful with creativity. And I apologize for the interruption with my son. Dad just came in from plowing, so we're good to go. All right.
What a fun age.
Our unexpected snowstorm in April. He wanted to put his jacket on and go outside. I was like, I don't think so. So I'm doing like a little bit of like kind of a fun like little teardrop on top. I'm just having fun with it. I can add in a little bit more black detail, but I'm only going halfway down because I'm going to put green on these lower ones down here. So that's just a little bit of kind of what's in my head. I can always come in here with a much more tinier brush too and do more detail work, but it's just getting in some base coats. The simplicity is kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. I might use like little black dots in here, Sharon. I don't know. We'll see what happens. This is where you can just be a little playful here. Just see what happens with your design. These kind of look like leaves a little bit, not so like rounded flowers. So I don't know. Just embrace it. So I'm definitely leaving like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 down here for green. And just keep checking your lapel, check your eyes, make sure if you need a second coat. I'm putting actual yellow on top of this. So with acrylic dries pretty quickly and you can layer paint on top of one another with nice smooth brush strokes. So and I'm making her eyes a little bit more yellow because they're going to be bright and bold. But I'm going to do the same thing with the green. So just take your time. I'm going to use a little bit smaller of a brush. So always check and just check yourself. I always say check yourself. See what brush you're using. So if you need to downsize what brush you're using. I was using number 2. I'm going to try to downsize to a smaller brush. See what I got handy here. Okay, this is a number 1, so it's a little smaller. And I'm going to find a green color that I like. So I'm going to do the same thing up top. I'm going to do green leaves or green flowers, anything that comes to mind for you, just you go for it. I am going to mix a little bit of this green with a little bit of white. And in the inspiration, it's a little more like lime green. So if I take a little swoop of the yellow and I add a little bit of, everybody's going to have different green paint you're using. So I think my intent here for you is find a green that you like if you're using green. Take a minute to blend and mix the right colors. There, that's a nice, like mine's like a nice sage, mid-tone sage green. And I'm going to spin my brush. So I have a little bit of paint management going on here. And I'm a lefty, so I'm going to try to be smart and start over here. And I can think about what shape I want. Do I want a rounded leaf? Probably. Keep it nice and simple. Do a flower. Do I want it to be a big shape or a small shape? You can go as dainty with your shape sizes, or you can go big as you want. You could always start small and go bigger, right? These are a little more rounded. So let's see if I can round these a little bit. So just take your time, find shapes that you like. If you do a shape that you don't like, you can paint over it, just let it dry. But I'm going for very simplistic shapes and designs tonight. And I'm painting around the stem, letting it come in and on top of my leaves. These could also be flowers. You might just start out with doing leaves like I am, and then you could just imagine just adding little flowers after. And I'll be creative with you and I'll do that. So don't feel like these can be simple right now, right? And I like that it's simple, but just consider you can always add something else on top of this or in addition after. So you could start with these simple shapes like I am. And you could keep these simple shapes, which I actually really like. I think they're super cute being simple. But you could always add more if you wanted to after. And I'm painting around these black stems, which are dry, so they're not going to get all mucky, right? That's why we left them alone. Sharon, did you do any other colors besides what I used tonight?
No, I decided I really liked the inspiration the way it was, so I went with the
There,
same
it's
color.
nice, right? They're very springy. It's like very approachable, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm ready. I guess I'm ready for green and spring and
I
bright colors.
know. I know.
Like
Agreed.
my,
Well, we
my
started having,
crocus.
before it snowed today, there was a little bit of green grass that was like starting to pop up in areas. I don't know if you had any.
No, we didn't have. I didn't see green grass, but I had like my crocus and daffodils survived the 2 feet of snow we had a week ago.
No way.
So I'm hoping that they're gonna survive this too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had like 50 or 60 crocus out and like really beautiful, and then they got they
Snowed
were a
on.
little squished, but they rallied.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. There was a lot of people that had stuff coming up. So I'm adding a little bit of the green down here to the like the bottom part of this one. And what happens is the green will tie from the top to the bottom. Like this is a nice visual complement from one space to another. And with art, I love this inspiration because with art, it doesn't need to be complicated to look really cute and to look really nice, you know? This is such a simplistic approach. Sometimes we do a lot of detailed things, sometimes we do simple things in these classes. And I think this was such a great choice for tonight because it's such a good example that you don't need complex colors or complex shapes to really to bring an idea or bring an inspiration to life, right? To embrace the colors of spring, to bring in a little bit of nature. And I think that's what I love about this one. And sometimes we feel basic, but it's okay to do basic things every once in a while. It's all set, doesn't matter. And it's just so cute.
I think also basic like it helps teach like I feel like I'm more in control of my brush tonight
Totally. Yes.
because I'm focused on using it rather than trying to keep up.
Yep, exactly. It's because we're not doing anything complicated. We're not doing any like crazy detail work tonight. We're just kind of doing one thing at a time.
Not that that's, it's not right, wrong, or otherwise. It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah. But I'm adding a little bit of texture to her hair. Um, it just sets kind of a tone, Sharon, of like, it's okay to try and do different things, right? As an artist.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a little bit of a white line on her lapel as a little bit of a highlight. And then um, I'll let everybody play with the details of their flowers and of their greens down here as you wish. I might take a little bit of the tip of this brush and there's like a little bit of like black lines that are kind of coming into some of these. Maybe like a little bit of a black dot. So I'm just playing around, being a little fun and curious with little bits of dots and things. It's just a little bit of detailed work on these yellow ones. Kind of like 1, 2, 3 little fingers with a little dot on top. And again, I'm here to just show you different things you can do. You get to pick and choose what you want to do as an artist tonight. I'm paying attention to the tip of the brush only, right where the bristles are, right on the top. Using a really soft hand. you end up painting something you don't like, just be patient and let it dry. Always paint over it. I like having a little bit of the black come into the green and come into the white. Just a little bit. If you need to do any touch-up work there, you can always put a little bit of black paint on your brush and just give it a new line, touch it up. For tonight's painting, you could keep it simple and spend a little time, or you can spend as much time as you want. So everyone has their preference. Sometimes it's not about what we paint, it's about the process. It's about that therapeutic relaxation. Sometimes it's about both, right? Based on how serious you take your artwork. Everyone in these classes has different needs. But overall, I'm so glad that you're here. Hopefully you're having fun. But I love this. I'm not going to overcomplicate anything. I'm just going to leave my red the way it is because it's just doing what it needs to. I'm going to keep my green and my yellow, all that the same. I'm going to keep that. One of the final steps that we're doing is the white daisies on the eyes. My face is dry. My eyes are still a little wet, but I'm going to just be really careful. I'm going to go around my eyes. These daisies have lots of little tiny lines. So I'm going to use a small brush. I'm going to spin the brush and I'm just going to be really patient. And I'm going to work my way around. I'm going to build out each petal using the tip of the brush and turning her eyes into flowers. You want nice solid brush strokes. So if you need to go back and get more paint, you may have more, you may have less petals than me. I'm just having fun. I'm gonna do the one on the other side too, so I can just, so they're touching, but they're not touching, right? So any kind of flowers you want to turn these eyes into, that is what we're doing. Just take our eye, and I'm just doing a little bit of white kind of around the outside of this yellow too, just to kind of ground it. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And I'm going to do both of these flowers, and then we can always add in a little bit of gray to the white as a little bit of, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. No. I'll zoom this in so you can see my detail work. It's nothing crazy here. It looks very strange right now. It looks like there's like she's turning into an alien or something, Sharon, because it's just not done. It's like there's something happening here. She doesn't look quite right yet, but she will. She will be fine when she's done. It's about trusting the process, right? And it's about having different size petals, right? So we just do our best here. I have a lot of little petals. I'm just taking my time here. You can always come in and make some of these bigger if you need to. It's just good to start somewhere. Okay. So I have two flowers happening. They're not done, but what you could do is you could take a little bit of green and like do the stems to like bring them to life a little bit. So I have a little bit of green, same green. And my stems are going to be coming out and they're going to be connecting to the hands, right? So hands. That's a very uneven stem. Let's do this again. Okay. May your stem be straighter than mine. Just going to make it a little bigger. There we go. And we'll paint a little mouth on her too. We haven't done her mouth yet. There's like cute little lips. So save room for like little lips in here. If you want to come in and paint little lips and a tiny little nose, you can. I'm just going to use red for lips. And it's kind of, she has like her mouth open. So it's kind of like a little M, and she has like her mouth open a little bit, like she's smiling with her mouth open. Trying to remember the cartoon character that had lips like this. Betty Boop lips, maybe, I don't know. Look at this, so funny. And she's smiling, of course. Why wouldn't she be smiling? Spring is right around the corner. So I'm going to put a little bit of red and black on the inside of her mouth for shading. But her lips will be red. So I'm just making the inside of her mouth a little bit darker. And I'm just going to give her like a little bit of like a tiny nose. But she's happy, Sharon. She's happy. I'm going to work on her flowers for eyes a little bit. They kind of look like dandelions versus daisies because I was being too wispy. But that's easy to fix. You can just bring some of these together. So it's easy to fix. If you want to get really technical, you can create a gray and do like a second coat and do some grayish flowers or do a little depth work with some gray, always an option. But just try not to let your flowers get too big. You still want to see your face. You may need to reshape the flower center. You could just do a round circle. And then I'm going to put little stripes on our legs too. So you can use like a green or a white for some stripes on her tights down here. And I'm going to put shoes on her as well. So She's got a little bit of witchy factor here. I'm gonna put red shoes. I'm gonna give her tights all the way down to her ankles. Little stripes. If you want to do polka dots pants, you can. If you want to do stripes, you can do stripes. You can decide. Did a line at the bottom of her belly here. And then her shoes were red. If you put red on top of black, you're not going to see them. So you can mix red and a little bit of white together and make like a pink. And then you can put red on top of it. But I'm going to give her like little ballerina flats, I think. We'll see how these shoes go here. I think I'm just going to paint her feet pink. I could always add in a little bit of black. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll probably put a little bit of red on top of this after. Her feet got a little out of hand here. I could use some white paint, which I'm tempted to do to reshape her feet. Depends on how serious we're all taking this here tonight. I'm gonna do pink and then I did a little bit of red on top because I do want her shoes to be red, but I did pink first just to get some color down. And I do want, yeah, I'm probably gonna reshape the top of her feet with a little bit of white because they're kind of pointing upwards and they're a little big, but they're good enough for right now. So this is where you can do any final touches for your picture today. Make sure you put stems on the flowers and you look around to see if there's anything else that you might want to do. I'm going to zoom this all the way back up. I'm so excited to see your artwork, Miss Sharon, and anyone else that's painting. I love how this came out. It's so cute. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pin. Oh, Sharon, it's so cute. Look at her. She's so happy. You have a very healthy ladybug. She's very healthy. So cute. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, really fun. All right, I'm going to go back and pin myself here. So take your time. I mean, these classes, as you know, you can get really dialed into the details and you could go down a rabbit hole. Take as much time as you need to really dial in the details on where they mean the most to you. I'm just putting a little bit of her black foot back in on the top of this shoe because I want them to be a little bit ballerina-esque. So I can see some of the top of her foot. Silly detail, but just something that I liked in the inspiration. And I probably could do a little bit more detail work on my flower eyes. But I want you to be a mindful artist and think about, what else you want to add and where. And you're going to know when you're done, right? That's the most obvious part that, I like to talk about at the end of these classes. Is so you just, when you feel like you're done, you can just take a break and you can stop. One of the benefits of these classes is that it's recorded and you can always come back and you can continue to refine work as you need to. Maybe you'll be inspired to, but don't forget to add a little nose and a little mouth. If you want to add a little bit of white for teeth, you could do that too. Let me see what that looks like. A little tip of white. Maybe on like the top part of her mouth, you could put a little bit of a white. I did a little bit of a white line on in the inside of her mouth. So she has like a little bit of teeth showing. You could do bottom teeth too if you wanted to. You could add a little orange on the inside of the flowers. There's a lot of different types of detail work that you could add in. You could add in a little bit of white. Let's put a little bit of orange, maybe on these flowers. Just as a little bit of a shading element. That's kind of fun. You don't need to go too crazy. I went a little bit crazy. Oops. If you ever add too much water, this or that, that's why it's helpful having a paper towel handy so you can kind of like dab some of it off. But I want to thank everyone for being here. I apologize for this disruption with my son earlier. I had to kind of keep an eye on him during tonight's class. So thank you for your patience there and understanding. He doesn't always part of these. But I would love to see your work once you feel like you are done. If you haven't downloaded the Patreon app, it's a great place to kind of upload and share your art with others. We have a great community. So if anyone has ideas on things you want to paint for the future, feel free to share those ideas with us. We have a great lineup for the month of April, and we also have May selected. So I will be expecting my second born in the month of May. I will still be having classes, so I will be posting the dates for classes. If there is not a live class, I will have a recording available for you. So I want to thank you again for being here. And Sharon, I hope you had a nice time tonight.
Did. Thank you so much.
All right. And I can't wait to see your work when you're done, but I'm going to just let mine dry and I might keep poking on it after.
Yeah, I'm finishing my little leaves and flowers and I need to walk away from it so I don't.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you again. Take care.
Thanks, Megan.
Bye. Thanks, Sharon.